The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina sometimes deals with disturbing and problematic topics. We provided a list of content warnings in the episode description. Hello and welcome to Dead Ends. I'm Emily.
I'm Brenton.
And we have two final for this section episodes of The Chilling Adventure of Sabrina.
We're wrapping up. Yeah, exactly. We're wrapping up part one.
Exactly. Honestly, two of the better episodes.
Yeah.
You don't like The Witching Hour?
No, not as much. But I do like
The holiday
special.
You always love a holiday special.
I know. Shocking. I didn't remember this holiday special as much other than the Susie stuff because
I remember
that stuff
all of it.
Freaks me out. Yeah. I mean, I don't know why I forgot it because I'm like, oh, this is great. This is like one of the best ones.
I wonder if this is one of the ones that I watched twice because you fell asleep while we were watching it. First time we watched the show, we would like basically on weekends just like get a bottle of red wine and split it and watch television until like late on the weekends. We were getting real rowdy and then we'd fall asleep. And by
I mean 20s are crazy.
Brenton would fall asleep on the couch usually.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Not that I didn't fall asleep, but not like that usually.
But yeah, I fall asleep. I have a hard time staying awake.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
This show always makes me want to drink red wine because of that. I'm like, I used to have really good red wine. Now I get acid reflux when I have too much tomato.
This is like a red wine show, though.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I couldn't say it for all shows, but I feel like you could.
Because it's very fall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Ooh, nice sangria. I could do a sangria.
A sangria.
Mm-hmm. Anyways.
Anyway.
How about we
not drink sangria and instead jump into characters?
Cast. And characters, I guess. Not wrong.
The friends we make along the way.
Yeah. All right. Anastasia Bandy is playing Dorothea, who's giving us Amelia Earhart here.
Always giving Amelia Earhart.
Absolutely. So Sabrina was her like longest running role, but also did a couple episodes of Stargate SG-1. So I'll just throw off some other ones I pulled out here. One episode of Legends of Tomorrow. And then also, this gave me a chance to be like, okay, what's up with this show? One episode of Fire Country, which is the CBS like rescue show, which is about a convict in California doing the fire camps thing to earn like a reduced sentence. It sounds like apologia for the California program to me. But the Cal Fire literally has disavowed it, saying it's not accurate.
Well,
yeah. So, for people who don't know, California has fire camps where they enlist inmates to assist with fighting fires across the state. And they earn, what I could do here, about $5.80 to $10.24 a day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Call it what it is, you know?
Yeah. They used to not be able to become real firefighters because of their convictions, but that changed in about 2020 after some people. And then there's also a bill this year that's working its way through the assembly to make it up to $19 an hour. So like huge increase. So hopefully that goes through. But okay. I'm like, this gives me really bad vibes every time I saw a commercial for this. So I'm like, all right, I got to look into it.
Yeah, it does give bad vibes. That's why I don't like watching like a lot of shows about like real cops. Yeah. Like I don't mind like a Veronica Mars that like outside of the law, especially like if you're like having drama with the cops. But I don't need to watch cop propaganda.
No. Yeah, I think I'm good there. All right. So Adrian Hugh as Farmer Putnam. It was one of those people that just has a billion acting credits. So 146 acting credits on IMDb. So I just pulled out some ones, just some bits and pieces here. Voices Nightcrawler in 3 episodes of the original X-Men animated series and X-Men 97. So I don't know if that means that Nightcrawler really isn't in those shows. I don't know if Nightcrawler was part of the X-Men team during the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Nightcrawler cycled out because the old Claremont ones that I'm reading now is like 60s, 70s. And Nightcrawler is like the main part of the team there.
Mm-hmm.
So he's part of like the X-Men team that was like found, the really famous one, where X-Men really started gaining popularity. Anyways, Agent Huff is also in one episode of like Stargate SG-1, The L Word, Smallville. I forgot there was a TV series they made out of Blade, so I put that here. In terms of other voice acting, did 34 episodes of Rescue Heroes, which is like an animated series. It's like, yeah, I'm a fireman, but they have like different powers and things.
Okay.
Yep. Oh, 5 episodes of When Calls the Heart.
Oh.
Pulling that back in here. And then is later in 2 episodes of Riverdale as a character named Doc.
I don't remember.
I don't remember Doc either.
It's the silence for me as we both go,
I don't know. Good to say. All right. And then on to our characters for the holiday special. Mr. Bartell is played by Brian Markinson. Was in 7 episodes of Mad Men as Dr. Arnold Rosen. Can you name that random character?
Dr. Arnold Rosen.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Do you think he's the doctor that Peggy goes to when she's pregnant?
No.
Oh.
Any other guesses?
The doctor that Betty goes to.
Just in general?
Yeah, well, like when she's having like all her like health things and she has cancer.
Oh, right. No. It is the husband of Linda Cardellini when Dawn is having an affair with her.
Oh.
I think that's when Dawn and Betty are like separated and he's living in that apartment building. And then he's like having an affair with Linda Cardellini. He's her husband. He plays her husband. Also in 2 episodes of The X-Files, 6 episodes of Dark Angel. It's coming up again. Keeps coming up as Dr. Sam Carr.
He plays doctors a lot.
I know. Except not in this. 13 episodes of The L Word. And then was in 6 episodes of The Magicians TV series as Everett.
I've heard people say that the TV series is actually pretty good. People who didn't necessarily enjoy the books.
Oh, okay.
Which was me. I didn't like that first book.
No, I did not like that.
So I didn't read the rest of them. But that doesn't mean that I don't think other people should. Mm-hmm. Everyone should enjoy what they like. But
yeah, the position on this podcast is we did not like it.
We didn't enjoy it.
No.
It was also, God, that was what, like 8 years ago?
Probably, yeah. Then we read it.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if I'd feel different or if I'd like double down on how I felt. You ever like think back on your position on something and you're like, I wonder if I consumed that now, how I'd feel?
Yeah, I'd probably be a little kinder to it, but I'd still be like, some of this I just don't, because I know what the shape of it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. It takes a direction that I didn't personally enjoy at the time.
Mm-hmm. I also don't think, actually, I'd probably feel the same way because I don't know if I would like the main character anymore.
That's true. That was a hard part for me. Is like, I like a likable main character. They don't have to be a great person, but they have to be in, like, you have to have something to root for.
Yeah, he's kind of annoying.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, anyways. All right. And then finally, Gryla is played by Heather Dorkinson. Was in Pacific Rim as one of the 2 Russian... what are they called? What are the big mechs called in Pacific Rim? Oh,
let me help you with this.
Okay, I gotta figure it out. What are they called? Jaegers. There you go. Did you see Pacific Rim?
No.
Okay, it's pretty good.
Did you say mechs?
Yeah.
So I'm assuming this is an anime?
No, it's like inspired by anime, essentially. Guillermo del Toro made a movie. It came out in 2013, and there's like a TV show and I think a sequel.
I feel like I saw this and I said that looks kind of like Transformers, and I moved on.
Which is fair. I mean, it's not like great, but I do like have a fondness for it. And it's like big monsters are just appearing out of nowhere, and then humanity sends people in big mech suits to go fight them. But like the mech suits have like 2 people in it, except for like one. I think it's China, and it's all like from different regions. Except China, I think, has 3 people. So she's the one for one of the people in the Russian suit. Played Captain Pat Myers on Stargate Atlantis. I remember when they had like all those different Stargate shows. Under the sea, on the land, wherever you're going to go. And then 4 episodes of Battlestar Galactica and lots of voiceover work, doing Barbie movies, Marvel TV shows, and Lego TV shows.
Very cool.
I know.
Gryla's also from Icelandic folklore.
Oh, really?
So Gryla is, I looked it up. So Gryla is a monstrous entity that lives in the wilderness of Iceland, allegedly. Icelandic folklore. I don't want Gryla to get mad at me. This is all from Wikipedia for the most part, but like in earlier references are more like ambiguous, and like Christmas becomes part of her thing only towards like the 17th century. So like a little later.
Okay.
And in poems about her, she's generally represented as a hideous and greedy troll-like crone who wanders between human settlements and demands charity, often asking for naughty children. She also is the mother of the Yule lads. So that like this is all taken from that concept. And most now they tend to portray her as not someone who has an appetite for naughty children, but I believe the earlier concepts, she wasn't just collecting them for funsies.
Yeah, and I can see that being folklore. It's like you got to be good, or else Gryla's gonna come take you.
There's also like some like medieval concepts that maybe she was a male monster rather than an ogress.
Okay.
There's lots of different it's folklore, so like there's various different takes on who or what the entity was and who or what they wanted. But I just thought that was fun, that was a real thing.
No, that is fun. Also that they are literally called Yule lads. I find that term hilarious.
And that's like much closer to Christmas. But I don't know like how much of that, like how much of folklore is influenced by like how modern that is, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like I don't know where that comes from. Right. I didn't like deep dive into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it just kind of makes me think of, it's just like, yeah, he's a Christmas boy.
Exactly.
Anyways, but that's all our cast for this week. Then, drumroll please. We are going to head to the summary, unless you have anything else.
Not about Gryla.
Okay. Anything else you wanted to say before I start the summary?
No, you can jump into the summary.
Okay.
Sorry, I got distracted because it was like, oh, she's also in this show called Hilda. So then I was like, oh, is it tied to this at all? But it's not.
Oh, okay. Oh, like Aunt Hilda.
There was like, what this is.
All right. Chapter 10, The Witching Hour. Oh, a couple things I pulled from the trivia section on fandom. Apparently, Nick calls Harvey, in Sabrina the Teenage Witch, the sitcom, there is a character on there named Roland who would call the Harvey then farm boy in there as an insult. So pulling that forward. And then there's also, I didn't know that there was tie-in novels. So there was a series of 3 novels, Daughter of Chaos, Season of the Witch, and Path of Night. Daughter of Chaos, I believe, is a... No. Season of the Witch is the first one, and that's a prequel. And Daughter of Chaos and Path of Night, it's like it happens like kind of like in between seasons. It's like they're telling original stories of like things of these characters getting up to other like adventures outside of the show.
But it's like Sabrina and Co?
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah. Written by Sarah Reese Brennan. So I was like, oh, I had no idea.
Are they considered canon then?
I think so. I didn't see anything that said not. I don't know.
One
Reddit post, people enjoyed it. So there you go.
Don't you love when you're like looking into something and it's kind of niche and like, I feel like it used to be so much easier to find things on the internet before AI. This is my old man speech.
No, it is true.
But like now when I look something up online, it's like I can't find anything. And then I end up on Reddit and then I'm like looking at someone's Reddit post from 4 years ago with like 7 other opinions. And I'm like, what happened to the internet?
Yeah. Google. It's literally set up this way. That search became wrapped around like Reddit, these things. So then when Google made a very smart choice to make a deal with Reddit to then be the only web browser to be able to scrape it for AI.
But it's still annoying.
Yeah, it sucks.
Well, and also it's like sometimes I want real information.
Totally.
And like, don't get me wrong. Like sometimes people on Reddit are right, but
yeah,
sometimes people on Reddit are wrong. And AI is usually wrong.
Yeah,
because it has no context and can't put things together.
No, it's completely warped around of even just trying to like serve you. Here's a nice article.
I'm well aware that when the robots attack, they're coming for me first because I've been running my mouth against them. But maybe they don't want to work.
Well, and that's the thing. It's not that it's...
Oh, I'm not like...
You know what I mean?
Anti-technology.
Oh, but I mean like, talk about like AI and robots. It's like, it's not... They're not,
They're not doing anything.
Exactly.
They're just spewing out really bad information.
They're just learning things and they're not allowed to say no.
Yeah. It's kind of like being a employee in a fast food restaurant in like the 80s and 90s and like restauranting when like you're not allowed to tell customers no.
Yeah, it's kind of like working at Chick-fil-A.
I wouldn't know. They use peanut oil.
Yeah. But all I knew is like you had to, at Chick-fil-A, there was it was like a quick time that you had to be able to like bring food out, and you could only say certain things to customers in terms of the way you greet people.
Oh, so when my mom opened a Wendy's, like she worked for an opening crew on a Wendy's. It sounds like my mom built the Wendy's.
I was going to say she was not a franchise owner.
No, my mom is not a Wendy's owner. Man, imagine if we were. The Wendy's is still open that she was there for. But anyway, she said when she was on that opening crew for the Wendy's, when they would they weren't allowed to tell customers no. So when someone came up to the window and tried to order a vanilla Frosty, she had to say, because back then Frosties are only in chocolate. A Frosty is naturally chocolate. Naturally, like God intended.
I tell you.
My mom had to go, a Frosty is a thick chocolate shake that you can eat with a spoon. And they'd be like, I want a vanilla Frosty. And she'd have to be like, a Frosty is a thick chocolate shake that you eat with a spoon. And I'm like, I can't imagine.
It's wild.
Like I worked in an ice cream parlor, and it was like a waitressing situation, but I was definitely allowed to use the word no. In fact, I had to use it a lot because they had stupid arbitrary rules. I was empowered to use no.
Which is good,
Yeah, except that like then people get mad at me as if like I'm making this stuff up. I'm like, I'm 16. Like, I don't even have my driver's license. Right. Like I literally...
I can't do anything on my own.
Literally, I'm just here.
Okay, well now on to the summary. Chapter 10, The Witching Hour. Miss Wardwell introduces... Well, as we find out later in the episode, Lilith...
Madam Satan,
that's right. That's a little too chunky for me to write in my notes, so in the next episode, you'll get Lilith.
I think I've managed to not call her Madam Satan the entire podcast, which was so hard, because they like call her Madam Satan from this point onward, like a lot. And I'm like, I was trying so hard not to give it away.
Yeah. No. You did very good.
Thank you.
There's a few things like when I was looking up like pictures and things too for earlier slide, and I was like, oh God, I got to try it and work my way around this.
But you know what happens in this. So, you meant just to not give it away on the podcast.
Exactly. On the pictures. And
I was like, you watched this before.
You're like, what do you mean?
This isn't like Pretty Little Liars.
Oh, no. I do know.
Ruined multiple reveals for himself.
Yeah. Oh yeah, go back and listen.
Yeah.
And also listen to my horrible guesses.
I should go back and like listen through, and like I just remember you'd be like guessing, and like sometimes you'd be heading in a direction and I'd be like, okay, and then sometimes I'd be like,
I am kicking myself to this day
about Maya.
Yeah, about Maya 1, but that because like you're like, yeah, so I mean Mona was A in the books, and then so I was like, oh, and I let that get in my head. And it steered me
got
away.
in everyone's head when you watched the show, because you were like, oh, well, they're gonna do it different, and everyone's like, well, Mona was A in the books, and everyone's like, yeah, but this is different.
Yeah, and that's what I was like, oh, well, it's got to be different, even though I was like, I think it's Mona after that one episode where she's like, yes, Emily, come to the dark side.
And then she kidnaps Spencer.
That's right. They go for a drive. All right, so Miss Wardwell introduces our story about a storm in Greendale. Roz talks to her Nana about having the cunning and seeing Sabrina as a witch. Nana is not surprised. Roz asks if the Spellmans cursed the family. Nana says, don't think those thoughts. You know your friend, and you'll know if she's good or bad. And the cunning says your friend is not the witch you need to fear. The 13 are coming. Zelda's spoon falls. Excuse me. And Hilda says, a baby's coming.
Oh, Zelda's spoon falls.
Yes.
I was like, what?
Spoon falls? As like a verb?
Yeah, I was like, huh?
Zelda has a spoon, It falls off her cup. And then Hilda's like, oh, that means a baby's coming. When a spoon falls, the baby calls. And then Hilda's like, it must be about Lady Blackwood. ... Hopefully Zelda has been using protection. Sabrina has been upstairs alone for days. Zelda goes to get...
I wasn't expecting that.
Zelda goes to get her up and makes her go to school, and she gives her a bomb Hilda made her to help her stop feeling, and Sabrina's upset because she doesn't want to stop feeling.
I can't hear for shit today because I thought you just said she gives her a bong.
Oh.
And I was like, what the fuck did you want?
Smoke.
Okay, sorry. I'm going to be quiet now. Just turn off my ears.
Sabrina's upset about seeing Harvey and doesn't know what to do. And Zelda gives her a nice speech that I'm going to briefly summarize here about continuing to live day by day through the pain, and that as you continue moving on and doing things, the pain will lessen. And Sabrina asks how she can face Harvey again. And Sabrina's like, I'm not sure. I've never been where you are, but maybe you just do.
Perhaps you just do. That's a good Zelda quote.
It is really good. Yeah, just to condense down for summary reasons and note reasons, I'm like, this is a really nice speech. I'm just going to write at a high level what it's about.
It's a really good scene.
Yeah. Sabrina sees Harvey at school, but ducks away into the bathroom before he can spot her. She finds Roz and Susie, and they ask what's wrong. She hasn't returned their calls. And Susie's like, are you a witch? And Roz tells her about her vision. Sabrina goes to deny it, but then is like, okay, this was really hard, and breaks down about Harvey. And then Roz and Susie embrace her. Wardwell overhears and gets very annoyed that her friends hung around after finding out. It's like, God damn it.
These mortals are like real tolerant.
Why do they, all lovey-dovey. She tells us she had to up her actions to force Sabrina to separate from her friends, and planned then to resurrect the 13 by killing a football player. Which is like,
killing the football player is what it is. But what kind of chicken is she playing where she's like, I'm going to resurrect this group of ghosty witches and this big bad to make Sabrina do this thing. And I mean, I guess she doesn't care about everyone in the town. Like Wardwell has no
she's like, I'll just go back to hell. It'll be fine.
Yeah, but wouldn't Satan get mad at her if a whole bunch of witches die because of her?
Or at least what if it killed Sabrina?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I guess she wouldn't have let it. We don't know how powerful she is.
Oh, that's true. Could she have overpowered the 13?
Yeah.
Or not the 13, but the
rider.
Yeah, God, I have
Red Rider?
Masked Rider or something? It's Red Death, but
Red Death. Crimson Rider.
Thank you.
Because I was like, that's really funny thing to refer to your period as. That's what I kept thinking of.
The Crimson Rider's here. And Red Death is a character in Venture Brothers that's essentially this figure. Nick says he's sorry for Sabrina. It's actually really funny in Venture Brothers because it's he's the most evil person, top of the pyramid of villains, but actually he just has this really healthy home life where he has a family and children.
I love that.
But he's this Red Skull man.
Uh-huh.
Nick says he's sorry for Sabrina and the Weird Sisters Tonner. Nick says he envies mortals because they actually love each other, but witches can't because the Dark Lord requires their love. So we just give in to carnal pleasures. He offers a shoulder for her.
It's not that. It's that he says that the Dark Lord is a jealous god. And so it's and if you get close to people, he calls you to him is kind of how I infer it. He will get in the middle.
Exactly. He offers a shoulder for her to cry on, and the statue of the Academy starts to have blood coming from its eyes.
Of the devil, presumably.
That's right. And around this episode is when they settled with the Satanic Church and gave proper recognition to the Satanic Church in the credits for the statue.
Oh.
The football player tries to force himself on a girl in the woods, and it turns out it's Wardwell who kills him in sacrifice for the 13, who were betrayed by their own kind. The 13 appear.
Okay, but sorry, real quick. Wardwell kills this football player boy, and he's a virgin. He's a virgin sacrifice, and I personally love, because there's so much horror about how it's always a virgin and it's always women.
Oh, mm-hmm.
So the fact that they flipped that, I think is, it's a little fun.
Mm-hmm. A little playing with it.
Fun. Just a little fun.
Mm-hmm. And then he acts, he's trying to force himself on her, and she's like, oh, you virgins.
You virgins are always so pushy, basically.
Mm-hmm. The 13 appear, and Wardwell tells them they can claim their revenge during the witching hour and asks them to summon the butcher who will end Greendale. Hilda closes up with Dr. C as the power starts to flicker, and we see the 13 start to enter downtown. Some of the 13 go to the church at night where Blackwood is, and his Bible bursts into flames. Susie gets woken up by Dorothea and goes to find the 13 are in his yard. Dorothea says they've come back. Their bodies were apparently buried in their yard because she was the only one who took them down from the trees when they were hung.
And they were part of the group of witches that she sailed to Greendale.
Yes. Luke brings Ambrose out to the woods to moon gaze when they hear chanting and see a circle of witches around a fire. Luke gets bad vibes, but Ambrose is like, oh, no, it's witches. Let's go hang out with them.
Ambrose has been too long inside.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like interaction people.
This is like me when we played the expansion on Outer Wilds and there was like the ghosty guys and I was like, well, walk towards them. Maybe they're friendly.
Oh, my God. Thank God we did that.
Because we would have been spooked.
Yeah, exactly. It helps puncture a lot of the scary things. Yeah, you can go watch our Let's Play on that over on my dormant YouTube channel, Burger Discourse. I think our Outer Wilds Let's Plays are great. The witches disperse, and the boys go to look and find a figure of a person on the horse in the fire. Ambrose gets grabbed by the witch, who tells him to take a message to the Church of Night Masters. Harvey draws in the library, and Sabrina comes up to talk. Harvey told his dad that Tommy killed himself. Oof. Sabrina goes to apologize, and Harvey says that her being a witch, all makes sense. She apologizes for keeping secrets, and he says he can never hate her, but all he can think about is his brother when he sees her. Hilda appears behind them and tells Sabrina to come to the church at night. Harvey puts all the pieces together rather quickly and tells Sabrina she should go. Father Blackwood says the Dark Lord is preparing the pit because of our disregard for witch law and doctrine, and he's going to punish us. Ambrose and Luke run in, and they're like, no, you idiot, it's the 13.
And the Red Angel of Death.
That's right. And the firstborns of Greendale, both witch and mortal, will die. Blackwood says he'll protect them all, and the Coven will all gather inside the Academy for protection. Sabrina asks about the mortals, and Blackwood does not care. Sabrina doesn't know why the 13 would be angry at the witches, and the aunties talk about the witch hunts. And when the 13 got caught, the Coven got together, and it's like, well, let's just give them up and appease the mortals. Zelda wants to...
I think it seems like they chose to sacrifice those 13 in particular.
Oh, I thought it was the 13 had gotten caught, and then they just cut ties.
See, I thought it came off as like we chose these 13 to be our scapegoats.
And it's like send them out to die.
So they betrayed them. But I could be wrong.
Yeah, it could be yours. I don't know.
Because I thought it was the way you said it until like that scene. And then I was like, oh.
Okay.
But maybe I was overreading.
No, I bet you're right. Zelda wants to stay and protect the town, surprising the family, as she doesn't want to make the same mistake as their ancestors. Great. She wants to gather all the mortals together, and Hilda says, according to Dr. C, the Baxter High basement is the storm shelter. The family gathers together to create a storm to get the town into the storm shelter. The mortals gather at Baxter High. Wardwell notices that Hilda pushes past her. Hawthorne again acts weird toward Wardwell. The witches all gather at the academy, and Luke says the Spellmans didn't arrive, and Lady Blackwood also is starting to look under the weather. Sabrina and Susie meet up and find that Roz and Harvey aren't there. Sabrina goes to Harvey's. The Kinkles have a storm shelter, and they want to stay there. Sabrina tells him about the 13, and Harvey insists that he could protect his family. Now, this is when Harvey starts to get a bit annoying.
Harvey's an idiot.
Yeah.
I don't care how much you trusted this person and this person and you know that they're not what do you mean?
Yeah, just go.
Yeah. You really want to be alone with your dad in the house?
No, when the Red Death's coming, the Crimson Rider.
Mm-hmm.
Roz doesn't want to leave Nana alone, who doesn't want to go to Baxter High. She's like, if I die, I die. Susie tries to convince them, but Roz says she'll stay, and then Susie's like, fine, I'll stay as well. Thank God. Sabrina arrives at Baxter High, and she tells the family she called in a favor to help Harvey, and Nick arrives at Harvey's to protect him. Very funny.
I love this. I love Nick. And that Nick is so obviously in love with Sabrina. And I think it's really fun because it's like he's talking about how they can't have that. And I'm like, you have this.
Mm-hmm.
You very much love her.
He's just doing the oh, if only witches could love.
He's like, well, it's like, well, other witches don't love. So maybe I don't.
Maybe.
And that I think, well, actually, I have more on this, but we'll have to wait to get to it because there's more plot to that. More backstory for our moody boy.
Mm-hmm. 13 try to break into the school, and the family casts a spell for protection. Same with the witches at the academy. Nick protects Harvey, and Nick says, I can't believe she loves a witch hunter. One of the 13 arrive at Susie and Roz's, and Susie says he's an ancestor of Dorothea and asks for mercy. At Baxter High, the family is casting when Zelda suddenly disappears. She got summoned by Blackwood as Constance is going into labor. Zelda asks for Prudence's help and dismisses Faustus. The Spellmans freak out when Ambrose also disappears. Luke summoned Ambrose and tells him he has to be with him there at the academy and tells Ambrose he loves him. So Sabrina and Hilda are the only two left to try and protect the school and continue casting. When Wardwell comes up, he's like, oh no, what'll happen to the spell fades? We need to, like, what's going to happen? And Hilda's like, well, you can, like, jump in anytime. And it's like, you know what we need to do? We need to go on offense. And Hilda, you got to hold down the fort by yourself for a little while I take Sabrina. And Sabrina's like, sure, that sounds like a great plan. And they run off.
It's almost unbelievable for Sabrina to do that. Like, it's the only part in this episode that I'm like, I don't really think that tracks. I guess she's worked into a panic, but you know.
Yeah, maybe. But, I guess she also has shown that she trusts Wardwell she trusts Wardwell's opinion on things more than her aunt's over the season.
Mm-hmm.
Wardwell says, I made it so she only had one path to save them, the mortals. She takes Sabrina to where she had her dark baptism, and Sabrina notices the Book of Beast is there. Wardwell says, the power you'll need is here. You'll have to sign it. It just happens to be set up here. During Wardwell's speech, they hear the Red Angel of Death ride into town. Wardwell says, take the power from the Dark Lord and wield it. And tells Sabrina that signing the book is her destiny, and everyone she loves will die if she doesn't sign. Sabrina's like, okay, I'll sign. The devil appears behind her and makes sure she understands what this means. We get a montage of the whole season as she signs her name.
I really like one of the things Wardwell says here, which is, don't accept power, take it from the Dark Lord. Because it gives like Wardwell a little more agency and like thought behind her choices than we've seen so far in the season. Because mostly it's like her being like, no, like, I love him. I bow at I kiss his hooves. And then it's like, you don't accept the power. You take it. Like, that's your power.
It's also a good pitch to Sabrina of like, well, here's the reason you should do it. You're not going to bow. But like, if you take it, look about that wielding the terrible power. It can't, like, because you're so strong, it can't possibly have a negative effect for you. Wardwell tells Sabrina that the Dark Lord has already shown her how to stop the 13, and she realized she needs to go to the hanging tree and burn it down, and that's where she got the Malum Malice at the first episode. Constance has her children, and Prudence notices that she's bleeding a lot, and Constance says her babies must be preserved at all cost. Hilda is holding down the fort where Dr. C runs up to get her to come with him to the shelter, and she asks him to hold her hands. The witch in front of Susie disappears, and Nana says it's the rider's turn. Nick and Harvey hold down the fort when they also hear the rider's horse. Nick asks if Harvey was the firstborn, and Harvey's like, no, but we find out that Harvey's dad is. Wardwell tells Sabrina that her rage will give her power, and then Sabrina commands the 13 to stop, and they appear in front of her at the tree. Hilda sees the rider has arrived, and she learns Dr. C is the oldest of 3 boys, and she casts a spell to make him run. Sabrina tells the 13 that she'll burn them. The witches try to call her bluff, and Sabrina says she can summon hellfire to burn them all, and she does, and burns them all, including the tree, fully completing her transition to the dark side of the Force and turning her hair white. Canonically, if you are in a show and you kill someone, your hair goes white. After that, the angel of death left. I just put the angel. I'm like, nope, that's not right. There was no angel. Harvey and Nick find the coast is clear. Harvey asks why Nick came to help him and asks if him and Sabrina are together, and Nick says she loves you and would die for you. Turns out Constance died, and Zelda tells Blackwood that she couldn't bring his baby into the world. Turns out one of the babies consumed the other in the womb, and Blackwood's like, yes, and is all happy about the power struggle. Roz covers her Nana, who turns out died off screen. Okay. Roz sees her soul leave them.
She walks out the door.
Hilda and Dr. C share a nice moment together, and she kisses him, and he wishes her good night, walks off, but we see something weird happen with his eyes.
They go red.
Uh-oh. Hilda comes upstairs to Zelda, who tells her she brought one of Blackwood's babies home because it was a girl, and she was born before her brother, so brought the baby home to be protected. Hilda was there to tell her that... Hilda actually was coming into the room to tell her that she's moving out of the room into her own, and Zelda freaks out as if this is a loss of a comrade. Blackwood tells all the boys the coven is now theirs and introduces his son Judas, and all the boys start chanting, "Hail Satan, hail Judas!" And then Ambrose looks around like, this is really weird.
What have I done? Maybe I should have stayed home with the aunties.
Exactly. I did this all for a boy. Sabrina appears to Harvey, who notices her white hair. Harvey thanks her for saving the town. She apologizes again. He asks for them to start over, and Sabrina says it isn't a good idea. But she doesn't think it's safe for her to be around mortals anymore. They kiss one last time, and she disappears. Wardwell finishes her story, and we see she was telling it to Hawthorne, who's all tied up. He asks who she is, and she tells him she's Lilith, but calls herself Madame Satan in the Dark Lord's honor. Once Sabrina takes her place, she'll earn her... takes her place as like the main sergeant in Satan's army, essentially. She'll earn the crown and throne by Satan's side. She tears off her face.
And she'll be queen of hell.
That's right. She tears off her face and tells him she's the future queen of hell. Later, Stolas speaks in plain English to Lilith and says, doesn't it seem like the Dark Lord is grooming Sabrina to be by his side? And Lilith says, I have ways of preventing that, and kills Stolas. R.I.P. Stolas. The high school mortal friends wonder if Sabrina will still come around, but we see Sabrina at the academy walking with the Weird Sisters dressed in their uniform, and she winks at the camera. The end.
But she's got her red outfit, which I love.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think first thing first, Sabrina's friends learning that she's a witch is very different than Harvey learning that she's a witch in terms of how they react. They are much more accepting of her. They're much more like they immediately hug her. She hasn't interfered in their lives. Like I get Harvey's got trauma. Like I'm not saying that, but I think that like it's really important that her friends accept her, because like her big fear was always Harvey not accepting her. Right. Her fear was not necessarily like Roz and Susie not accepting her. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And I think it really shows like that she saw their true natures in some way, because like Harvey can't quite accept her. And is that a self-fulfilling prophecy because she didn't tell him before, and so she now has traumatized him with magic, and
yeah, that's my read.
So on and so forth. But it is interesting, like it's that it plays out that way. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a form of foreshadowing, but it's kind of fun. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, and I think people do this to themselves a lot. So it feels, in a show that is ungrounded, it feels very grounded in like how people react to things. Like it makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Roz and Susie being like, yeah, sure, whatever, is great. And then in the next episode, they're kind of like, we don't know.
It's like a little weird.
It's a little weird.
We'll be there to help you and comfort you, but like we're still a little freaked out.
Mm-hmm. Which is fair boundaries,
You're right, I guess. They're getting used to the idea.
Another thing I was thinking about is how many scenes we have of Sabrina.
We didn't know you were a friend of witches.
Well, you are a witch.
Oh, yeah, right, exactly.
Sabrina and Nick often talk in front of the statue of Satan. There's a lot of scenes of the two of them standing in front of the statue of Satan. It's like, oh, well, he's like her Church of Night boyfriend. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's like we make he's also like he's in front of the church. Like we see him in other places, but we get more scenes of her standing in front of that statue of Satan, I feel like, talking to him than anyone else.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And I think that's just kind of fun and interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, also, I'm sure they only have so many sets. Like it's
because it's at the academy.
Yeah,
but no. I mean, it's interesting.
It's very interesting.
Well, what's going on there? Are temptation potentially like a morally gray boy?
Exactly. And he's standing there talking about how their God is a jealous God, and like, what does he know about that, and what does that mean? Mm-hmm. I think it's all very good. It's like, we witches aren't as good at love because the Dark Lord is a jealous Lord. And I think that's it's very fun, like, to play with this idea that, like, that's how he feels. But, like, she knows her parents were so in love that they were able to overcome being a mortal and a witch. So it's like, what does that mean? Mm-hmm. And what happened to Nick?
Yeah, absolutely.
Who hurt you?
Who did? Yeah.
Well, I think we know. The other thing I wanted to talk about then is like in the Nick versus Harvey of it all is like Nick knows that Sabrina is willing to die for Harvey. And Sabrina has from the beginning believed that Harvey was willing to die for her. Mm-hmm. But was Harvey really willing to die for her? Is Harvey as committed to their relationship as she is, or like was.
Yeah.
It's you can't know without like, you know what I mean? Like you can't know without having him say that, and he was never going to say that on his own accord.
Or
like show it.
Yeah, I don't know if that. I don't know. I don't know if I would buy that. I feel like we never know because of the Tommy of it all.
But even before that, I feel like she's tried to tell him she was a witch before, and it didn't. He freaked out.
He just goes like, "You're messing with me," and she freaks out. I think that's like important there. Like for Roz and Susie, they have seen all sorts of shit.
They come to her with it. They've already accepted it.
Well, I guess, but even Harvey is like, well, I had this like weird experience as a child that I told no one about, and he doesn't tell anybody about it until a couple episodes.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, there's this weird thing that left his imprint on me, but I've kept it deep down inside. So I don't know. Yeah, I think it's like the tragedy of Harvey and Sabrina is this: Harvey can't overcome what's happened with his brother, and you know, teach our own journey.
Would he have been able to overcome what had happened to him as a child
if he had like spoken about it?
Well, so what I'm saying is like, obviously, if the Tommy of it all hadn't happened, learning that Sabrina was a witch and that she was connected to the scary thing he saw in the tunnel, would he have been able to overcome that? Or were they doomed from the start because of him being so afraid of seeing the devil in the mines?
Mm-hmm. Right. No, that's fair. That's fair.
I just think it's interesting. Like I think they were doomed regardless, which is kind of fun because with the way the show is set up, you're like, oh, is her relationship going to mirror her parents? Like she comes in this very comfortable relationship, and it's not like Harvey is a bad person. It's not like they make Harvey into, I mean, he's an idiot in this episode.
Yeah.
But he's a traumatized idiot.
Exactly. It's annoying from the like, you got to learn to like accept some like help here. Like
we've already accepted that Sabrina's a witch, so we don't know why you haven't. As the audience, we're like, get with it, Harvey.
Yeah, and also it's like, okay, you might not like everything that, you know, being a witch and whatnot, but like really you aren't gonna go to like the storm shelter when this like crazy thing's happening.
Yeah, like you're gonna die.
Yeah,
or your dad's gonna die.
Like it makes more sense in the next where he's like, I don't want to accept magic things because he doesn't say it outright, but it's like because I've seen how magic goes wrong. In this, it's just like, why are you being stubborn and out and leaving your house when there's like the storm of the century?
Also, like, how powerful is Nick that Sabrina's like, oh, you can go protect Harvey and his dad?
Oh, yeah, alone?
Like, is he that powerful?
Yeah, apparently.
And also, like, what a crazy ask. Imagine like asking your situationship, but not even like a guy you knew that had a crush on you. It's not like asking for them to give you a ride home from school. It's like, can you go protect my boyfriend? Well, my ex-boyfriend,
the Crimson Rider who collects like witches' souls.
But is Nick not a firstborn? We don't know.
It doesn't seem like it.
It doesn't. Nick is not concerned.
No, that's true.
So maybe he was like, whatever.
Right, exactly. He's like, yeah, I can hold down the fort from a couple undead witches.
He's asking about Harvey, and then he looks relieved when Harvey says no, but then he's like, oh, but my dad is.
He's like, shit. I can't hold the door.
But I really like that she asked me to come, so I came. And I'm like, oh, that's hot. like that's like the perfect, like, oh, of course. Like I did what she asked. And then also for him to just like check Harvey like so hard where he's like, she would die for you. Like you'd think that'd be worth forgiving her for, but what do I know, mortal? I'm not allowed to have love.
Exactly.
I just think it's very fun and interesting. That's my take on the Nick and Harvey of it all. And then at the end, Sabrina being like, I don't think I should be around you. Like, normally I find this really annoying, right? Because I'm like, but I kind of get it in her situation. Like, it almost makes more sense because she's afraid of what the devil is going to make her do.
Oh, right.
It's not like she's like, oh, I'm so powerful, I can't control my powers and you're in danger. It's like, well, the devil can make me do anything now because I signed my name in his book.
Right.
And so, like, what if he tells me to hurt you? I can't be around you. Like, it's too risky.
I need to pull away.
Like, it's one of the few times I kind of get it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's like they give it up pretty quickly in the next episode. It's boring as a narrative, but I think that it's a natural response to like being that level of traumatized. Because also and that's the next thing I wanted to bring up, is like she's manipulated into making this choice, because Sabrina wouldn't just die for Harvey. She would die for almost anybody.
Yeah.
And I think there's like I almost wonder if like Harvey can't see that because he's never seen that. Like, he knows she'll stick her neck out for people, but like he's never seen the witch side of it.
Oh,
to be like, oh, she would literally die for other people. And like, I don't know. It's really interesting. I also think, I was thinking too about like how when they bring back Tommy, Nick is there, and like Nick sees the lengths Sabrina is willing to sacrifice for Harvey, and Harvey is just like, oh, she overstepped, which both are correct. But it's just like these two very different perspectives on the same situation. And then Sabrina doesn't see it that way at all.
Right.
Like, she's just like, well, I have to fix things, and then I have to save people. And so like she didn't have a choice but to sign her name, because like everyone she loves was going to die, basically.
Right.
And she was manipulated by both Madam Satan and the devil.
Yes. And I think actually the interesting point there too is she thinks that the only path to save people is to have more power. And so then I feel like there's part,
because she's put in a situation where the only solution is to have more power,
or so she thinks, because she listens to Wardwell.
Yes,
she doesn't listen to her aunts, and that's like it's not like super clear. It's not like a angel on your shoulder, devil on your shoulder. It's not as like crystal clear as that. It's instead of staying with her family to try and protect people using their magic until things blow over, like Zelda's plan was. I mean, Zelda, it starts going, pear-shaped, as the British people would say. But
Zelda, I don't think Hilda and Sabrina could have held it down, I think, is the issue.
That's what Sabrina thinks. I mean, we don't know, because Sabrina makes the choice to go off and give her, sign her name in the book.
Well, I'm pretty sure that's what Hilda thinks too, because Hilda says once Zelda's gone, that as long as the three of them stay, they'll be fine. But then Ambrose is taken. So it's like, oh, well, now we're fucked.
So they think, right?
Yes.
And so Sabrina thinks that the only way to do it is to sign the Book of the Beast then, when she gets put in that position. But it is that it's to access more power. But and then even when she accesses the power, she goes and kills the witches instead of making amends, which I think is like following along of like that power. That power is the only way to like control and take control of things in your life. Essentially, this is classic dark side. But instead of like Zelda being like, we're not going to make the same mistakes as our ancestors, Sabrina does.
But so Wardwell pitches it to her as that their souls are trapped, and that she releases their souls when she does that. And I think Wardwell actually means that, because like the way she's explaining it to Hawthorne, isn't that?
When she explains it to Hawthorne, it's their souls burned up.
Oh, okay.
Like they get their souls are gone.
They're gone.
Yeah. So, and Sabrina doesn't go there, and she doesn't talk to them or negotiate. She says, "Listen to me, or I will kill you." And I think that's interesting, that it's like, it's fully, like
they backed her so far into a corner, her only reaction is to fight. Like her only instinct is to fight.
Yeah. And I think like she has the wrong instinct, and that's what it's been building up in this entire thing, is like, instead of trusting in the people around her, she thinks she has to do everything herself, and that power is the way to control and get things done.
It's the folly of youth. Like, it's that, oh, well, I know what's best.
Yeah. Or
I think, like the one person that I trust, to like the confidant, like that's whispering in my ear, like they know what's best, and so I will listen to them and only them.
The person that is the confidant, but that is confirming all of my suspicions. And I think even beyond just like, folly of youth, it is like tapping into, it's like, yes, like I am my way is the right way of I'm the only one that can change things.
Exactly. It's also like a really interesting, like, I think what I really like about the show, what I think is really fun is the take on religion, which is that like, your God is real.
Yeah.
Like you're certain your God is real. And like, they're not necessarily nice.
No.
But like,
it's the devil.
You are also given so much power by them that like, how do you reconcile with that? And they have authority over your soul regardless. Like you didn't make choices to put yourself in their hands, but you're trapped in their hands. So like, what choices do you make when you're already trapped?
Right.
I just think it's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It changes, like it subverts a lot because people will do crazy things for a god that like they're not even 100% sure of, and like in this case they're sure of their god, and at the same time, and their god forces, when they sign their name, they are now like magically tied to have to obey, presumably. Like that's the way he makes it sound when he shows up at her dark baptism. Mm-hmm. So it's like, you'll do whatever I ask of you, basically.
And it makes it easy for a speaker on behalf of them to even easier for a speaker on behalf of the Dark Lord to manipulate them.
Well, and so like, does he know Blackwood does shit like he does, and does he not care?
Exactly.
Or does like nobody tell Satan, or like, pray it to Satan, or whatever they do, because they're like, well, that's what Satan wants.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It's really interesting.
Yeah, because we still through this first season, we don't know if
we don't know like what kind of god to Satan is. You know what I mean? Like what are the limits of Satan's powers?
Yeah.
And like, is Satan all knowing?
Mm-hmm.
Or is Satan just like casually checking in, and like if Wardwell is there and doing things and watching and manipulating, obviously Satan can't control people that are not, tied to Satan. Also, did Satan not just go to the ants and tell them they had to make sure Sabrina got baptized? Like,
right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What is that track there of like essentially seducing Sabrina?
Yeah, and why do it in a way where you want Sabrina to accept it rather than forcing it?
Mm-hmm. And
I think Solstice leads us to that, where he's like, oh, is he grooming her to sit on his throne?
Exactly, not you.
And then she kills Solstice.
Yeah. And he's stuffed in the next episode.
He is.
But and something you mentioned at the beginning of the season, is Faustus actually speaking to the Dark Lord? Mm-hmm. Is all this things where he's, if it's been a well, I mean, not necessarily. I guess we don't know if there's ever been women in charge of the coven, but it seems that it's
men are
now
in charge. It's a patriarchy.
Yeah, but that it's now becoming like worse, like whatever's going on with him and the boys.
Well, or they're trying to return it to what it was. It's very reminiscent of something that's happening in the world right now.
Yeah.
A return to glory, when it's like, was it that glorious? Because I gotta tell you,
the longest train crash imaginable happening as long as we've been living.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I like your take on Sabrina there. I also like that we see another softening layer of Zelda, where she's like, well, I have to protect this baby, and that Prudence is the one that helps her protect the baby.
Mm-hmm. And also that Zelda's like, we need to protect the town.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's like, huh?
But this whole like teleporting people to you thing that just like pops up in this episode drives me mad. Like, I get Blackwood being able to do it with Zelda, because she's supposed to deliver his babies. But I'm like, Luke, like, bro,
just on his own?
Yeah. How much power do you have, Luke? Or can anyone summon anyone like that?
Right. It would make it a whole lot easier.
Is it only at the academy?
Yeah. And then does the other person on the other side have to make the call? Because then what's the point of astral projecting?
Well, I think astral projecting is like, you're not physically there.
Right.
So like, Ambrose couldn't leave the house.
Right. That's true.
I don't know.
The other thing that drove me nuts in this episode of like, why does Nana die?
Why does Nana die?
She's just like,
I'm ready to go.
Yeah. She's like, this is the end of my contract. Wrap me up. Put a blanket over me.
It is interesting.
Yeah. It's like, what the hell?
I think they could have spent more time with that to like explain it better. And I think they kind of ran out of space in the episode.
Yeah. Cause I don't know, other than having the Susie payoff there, I'm like, that's fun.
Oh yeah. I thought that was really good that Susie's like the hero.
But like Roz and Nana are really only there then to like prop up Susie's storyline. So then why does Nana die?
Damsels in distress kind of vibe.
Yeah.
It's also like, why wouldn't Nana leave?
Nana
Did Nana just know she was gonna die, and so she was like, "Oh, I'll just let them take me." But then, like, why not send Roz away?
Right. Well, my grandchild's gonna die with me.
Yeah. Is Roz the oldest? I don't remember.
And how much does Nana know?
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying so hard not saying Nana Rose.
Nana Ruth.
Yeah, thank you. Because
different lady.
Riverdale has points at me.
Yes. Well, we'll be back to that soon after this episode.
That's right.
That's right. We'll be back to Riverdale. Mm-hmm. Though I do like Greendale. I really like the show because I think you can get more into it and out of it.
It's not 1.5 billion things happening.
Well, and I think that it was written with deeper consideration for these very specific characters and kind of their plot lines. At least like at this point in the show still. Mm-hmm. Whereas I think Riverdale has really good characters and I think they do a really good job. But at a certain point, you get to a point in that show where you're like, what is this? Mm-hmm. And when you're in a realm that has like more fantasy and witches and stuff like that, it's harder to hit that point.
Right.
Because like you're already like in a suspended state of disbelief kind of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's a whole lot less of the... They just... In Riverdale, it's just like every other episode, they're just bringing in the wildest shit.
Uh-huh.
So... And even starting in season 2, essentially.
Mm-hmm. All right. You ready for the next episode?
Let's do it. All right. Chapter 11, A Midwinter's Tale. So, for context, this was available in December 14th of 2018. So, about 2 months after the end, the part 1 was all made available on Netflix. So, like, kind of semi-part of part 1, but, like, retroactively. And the episode title, supposedly, according to fandom, comes from Kenneth Branagh's 1995 British romantic comedy film the same name, which is about an out-of-work actor who tries to save his sister's local church from land developers for the community by putting on a Christmas production of Hamlet.
Okay.
Uh-huh. I don't know. I don't know about that.
That
seems like a stretch, fandom.
I mean, maybe I'd have to think. Like, I've never seen the movie.
Is there not other things called A Midwinter's Tale?
I don't know.
Anyway, it's the week before Christmas, but back in the day, which is called yesteryear, Hilda takes little Sabrina to take pictures with Santa and is there with Susie and Mr. Putnam, and Sabrina asks Santa to see her mom. Jump forward to the present. It's also the week before Christmas. They decorate the Christmas tree, and Zelda insists it's a Yule tree. Zelda is excited about baby Letitia Blackwood's daughter that she stole. It's baby Letitia. This is the daughter that she stole from Blackwood and named Letitia. Zelda has a whole backstory that she's a long-lost spellman. Sabrina is sad about not ever having a solstice with her parents. They gather and light the Yule log, which is both a decoration and protection from malevolent forces. Ambrose asks, and the Yule log stays lit all the way through from Solstice, all the way through from the darkest night through the Epiphany. Ambrose asks what's up with Sabrina as she's quieter than normal.
Is it all the way through to the Epiphany, or was it just for the nights of the solstice?
Oh, it could just be the nights of the solstice.
Because the Epiphany's not until January.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was longer, but
maybe
you're probably right. Turns out she told him. But yeah, so because I didn't write it down. This is off the top of my head. Turns out she told him about signing her name and keeping that from her friend, keeping away from her friends. Sabrina wonders what it was like for her human mom to join the witch world. She tells Ambrose about seeing her in limbo, and she wants to see what unfinished business has kept her there. Sabrina wants to have a seance to communicate with her mom, but Ambrose is against it. Because right now it's during solstice, the veil's thin, so they don't want like creepy, ghosties and things coming in.
Anything else getting in.
Lilith prays to the Dark Lord, who has apparently stopped communicating with her. Sabrina comes to visit her and asks for advice about the seance and asks for the Book of the Dead. Lilith agrees, but is like, be careful. Lilith feels like Sabrina's mom would mess with her plans, so she has to interfere. Sabrina asks Roz and Susie to be a part of her seance, and Roz and Susie are like, we're still just getting used to this like witch stuff.
I would be like, hell yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sorry.
I'd do it in a sec.
If one of my friends could do magic.
Yeah, all the way in.
Yeah. And you're willing to help me with it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I also would be very jealous, though. I don't want to be a witch.
Yeah. But I mean, you'd want to be like, oh, it'd be fun.
Harvey makes me so mad in this episode too. Like, I get it, but I'm mad.
It's kind of like, yeah, totally. But in terms of this, it's kind of like practical magic, right? Where they're all like, yeah, let's go do it.
Yeah. Which is ironic because the whole town hates them up until that point, and there's really no reason for them to change their minds.
Hey, but like...
Except for shitty men. Nothing brings women together more than shitty men.
Mm-hmm. But also, like, you get to get brought in on magic, and I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I love it.
Susie is excited to be playing Jingles the Christmas Elf. Now, why do you think Susie is excited to play Jingles the Christmas Elf? This is something that bugs me.
What do you mean? Because it's nostalgic. Susie remembers going as a little kid. And we see that at the beginning.
And loves and really always wanted to be Jingles the Christmas Elf.
Susie liked the whole thing.
There's something about it that just doesn't sit right with me.
I played an elf in a play once. Thought it was fun. Also, I helped Santa read the Christmas list every year at the family Christmas Eve. Like, I am an elf. We told my cousin's kids, because I'm the youngest of my cousins, that I was half elf, and that's why I was so much shorter than everyone else.
I guess maybe...
Which is ironic, because, like, half the women in the family are about my height, but...
Just, like, interacting with all the kids, excited to see Santa and stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just, like, excited to see Santa, spreading Christmas cheer. Susie likes Christmas, okay?
Okay.
Very defensive over this.
Fair enough.
I think I would have, like, rocked that job.
Wanted to be Jingles the Christmas Elf?
Yeah, I would have wanted to be Jingles the Christmas Elf.
Okay.
Susie has fond memories of that. Unlike sad baby Sabrina, who sat on Santa's lap and said she wished for her mommy.
Yeah, it is really sad.
It's so sad.
Sabrina sees Harvey and goes to talk to him. Harvey says he thinks he's feeling more comfortable being around her. His dad is in really rough shape drinking, though. Sabrina gives him a Christmas present, and it's magic colored pencils whose tips will never wear down. He seems uncomfortable.
So fucking cool.
It's really cool.
I understand why he's uncomfortable, but like, yeah.
Come on, man.
Get it together, Harvey. I don't have the patience for mortals.
He seems uncomfortable about it, but says they're great. Sabrina sees the Weird Sisters at the Academy, and they tell her Nick isn't in this episode. She asks them to join the seance, and Agatha...
They said, we don't want to pay his salary for this episode.
Exactly. She asked them to join the seance, and Agatha and Dorcas are like, oh my god, please, Prudence, please. It would make our solstice so much. And she's like, okay. Roz visits Susie at Santa's workshop, and Susie's boss... Mr. Bartell is an absolute asshole. As Roz leaves, she gets a weird cunning feeling.
But she leaves.
Yeah, she leaves anyway. Susie cleans up late with Mr. Bartell, and then Susie polishes all the child statues, and one cries.
Well, they're elves. They're elves. They're child elves.
Yeah, but it's like they're... I said... Yeah, exactly. It's not just like a random statue of a child. It is like dressed up like, like the Christmas village.
It's like dressed up like Jingles the Christmas Elf in different styles of Jingles the Christmas Elf outfits.
Yeah. And then Mr. Bartell puts Susie in a bag.
Mm-hmm. Well, because one of the elves, as she's cleaning them, they cry. Mm-hmm. Tears come down its face. And it's the elf that looks like the elf that was there when her and Sabrina sat on the elf's lap when they were little in the flashback.
This stuff creeps me out to no end. To be forever trapped.
And the whole doll thing really freaks him out.
Mm-hmm.
Brenton doesn't really like dolls.
Yeah, I'm not a claustrophobic person, but the idea of being trapped but without being able to move, but you're like conscious, is terrifying to me.
Yeah, like being locked in. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I have nightmares like that all the time. I had a whole bunch of them last night where I just like can't move and I'm not awake, but I'm not asleep and I can't wake myself up.
It's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Lilith makes a gingerbread house out of the Spellman's house and casts a spell to put out their Yule log. Sabrina and the Weird Sisters start their seance. Agatha leads the seance and is the vessel for Diana. They bring her soul there. Sabrina asks why she's in limbo, and Agatha says something's wrong. There's other spirits interfering. We see an invisible creature come down the chimney and hear children laughing. Hilda and Zelda find the Yule log has gone out. Agatha goes to break the connection as Zelda comes into the room and is furious upon seeing Diana. Zelda thinks Sabrina put out the Yule log intentionally to be able to talk to her mom. Apparently, it's the eve of Solstice. Sabrina comes forward about seeing her mom in limbo. Zelda says, if you had told us, we would have helped, which Sabrina is surprised by. Ambrose searches the house for spirits. Hilda offers to sleep in the room with Zelda, and they go off to bed. Ambrose asks if Sabrina found what she was looking for, and she says no. It's Solstice. Sabrina apologizes, and Zelda says, I understand you want to contact your mother, but it put us in danger. They make amends, and Zelda says maybe in the new year we can try contacting her again. Hilda tells Sabrina that Zelda really regretted because having bad blood with Diana when she was alive, and the two never made amends before Diana passed away. Sabrina made some special eggnog to bring to Harvey's dad to get him to stop drinking. She visits the Kinkles, and Papa Kinkle takes it graciously. Susie's dad finds Susie's bed empty in the morning and calls Roz to try and find him. Susie awakens in a dark workshop strapped to a table and sees that Mr. Bartell is a demon. Ambrose does some work in the embalming room and sees in his mirror the body getting up off the table and it has a knife. Ambrose stops it and hears the children laughing, and the spirits start playing with the corpse drawers, and then the body appears behind Ambrose. Hilda does some baking, and a rolling pin keeps disappearing on her when she hears the children laughing. This scene reminds me a lot of like a Final Destination, because we keep it's Hilda cooking, flash to the knives on the counter. Mm-hmm. Hilda cooking, flash to the knives on the counter. And then a bag of flour gets knocked over, and she sees footprints in the flour, and the knives disappear from the knife block, and she looks up, and they all fall from the ceiling at her. They have that. I wonder if that new Final Destination movie is good. I think that's the last. I think they still have. It was maybe the last role for Tony Todd. Zelda takes care of Letitia when her sewing machine starts up. Stitch finishes up and says, "We have." That they have her baby, and she finds Letitia gone. Zelda screams for Hilda, and they go to search for Letitia. They are led on a wild goose chase all around the house. Hilda eventually finds her in the oven. Ambrose enters the room, saying they have an infestation of poltergeists. Sabrina comes home wondering what's wrong. Hilda clarifies it's the Yule lads. Youths that enter your house and won't leave until their mother Gryla tells them to. She had a pact with another witch to eat their children to survive, and the other witch broke their deal. And so now Gryla takes orphans in to replace the children that she lost and ate. Ambrose is told to leave because Gryla likes eating men, and Ambrose is like, I will take my leave. Zelda also says they need to hide Letitia, and Sabrina offers to help. Zelda invites Gryla in. Gryla wants to know what she'll get in exchange for bringing her children home and asks for gin to drink with Zelda and Hilda. They polish off their drinks together, and Gryla summons all the children to go back to the mountains. At that moment, Letitia spits out her binky and starts crying, and Gryla hears the cries. Sabrina and Letitia are brought in front of her, and Gryla knows that Zelda is not Letitia's mom. Diana appears wearing a crown and asking her to leave the baby alone. Diana speaks with authority for St. Lucia and the demon Lucy on this night to decide who gets the baby. Gryla and Zelda will each pull on one of Letitia's arms, and whoever pulls Letitia out of the salt circle that is made gets to keep her. Zelda and Gryla begin their duel, and Zelda eventually gives up because she doesn't want to tear Letitia to pieces. Gryla takes the babies and leaves. Diana and Sabrina give each other a knowing look, and turns out Letitia is downstairs, and Sabrina put a spell over Ambrose's teddy bear to make it look like Letitia. Apparently, Diana told Sabrina how to do it. Interesting. Diana disappears, and there's a knock at the door. It's Roz telling them about Susie and having a cunning vision of seeing Mr. Bartell as a demon. Hilda says Bartell is the name of a Yule demon. Zelda finds his address in the white pages and says demons are very powerful on Solstice. We'll need help, and they want to bring Gryla back because even though she probably hates them for tricking her, she hates people who hurt children more. Roz is left to care for Letitia, and also she hates men. So, double up there. Mm-hmm. Bartell prepares the wax to dump Susie in. He hears children laughing as Gryla enters and threatens him. The old lads stab Bartell and cut Susie free. Gryla tells Susie to leave and says, you won't want to see what comes next. Susie runs out and finds Spellman's, and they take him home. Gryla places shoes around a fire, and we see Bartell was turned into their Yule tree. The Spellmans come home and find Ambrose back feeding Letitia. Zelda cries and says she's going to take her to Desmelda's because she's not safe at their home, and the family try and talk her out of it. Later, Sabrina is visited by Diana. Sabrina asks why Diana's in limbo. Diana was afraid that Sabrina wouldn't be cared for, but saw that she is loved and protected. Sabrina asks what to do about Harvey. Diana says she followed Edward down the path of night as far as she could, but wouldn't lead anyone else down it. The fire goes out the day comes and Diana is gone. Oh yeah, it's on. Never mind. It's on Christmas. So there we go. Solstice over. On Christmas, Harvey visits Sabrina and says his dad is done drinking and thanks her for the enchanted eggnog, but asks her not to do magic around him ever again. He doesn't trust magic and gives her back colored pencils. Sabrina goes back to the rest of the family, plus Luke, who has Salem in his lap. In the living room, Ambrose reads from the Christmas Carol as is tradition in their family, and we see 3 demonic figures emerge from the mines.
3 kings. They're wearing crowns.
Of Orientar.
Quick, does Luke know about Letitia? What does Luke know? Does he think she's just a...
Oh, right. Baby's just there. I guess Luke is being brought into the inner circle.
Or is he not? Are they just feeding him the lie of like, oh, she's a spellman from far away that was sent to us?
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Okay, so I think...
would probably presume that.
Yeah. First things first, I think it really solidifies like Sabrina, again, interferes with Harvey without his consent, but she tells him this time in a way. You know what? She doesn't tell him, but she's trying to be more honest.
Mm-hmm. But she still hasn't completely gotten over the... Well, she hasn't gotten over it at all because it's paid off for her, but like, I can fix this.
Yes. I also think that he doesn't say, don't do it without my consent. He doesn't say, tell me when you're going to use magic. He doesn't say any of that. He says, don't do it around me. I don't trust it. Mm-hmm. And so he literally cannot accept her for who she is.
Yep.
So they literally can't have a future.
Yep.
Like, it's so nail in the coffin.
Mm-hmm.
I also think it's funny. Oh, were you going to add something to that?
Yep.
So, Saint Lucia or Saint Lucy, depending on what you go with. I don't think there's a demon Lucy. I'm like, maybe Lucifer. Like, I don't know what they were playing with. Or maybe there's some sort of demon I don't know about. Oh. I mean, like, I looked it up and not like I know all the demons.
It's probably a little hard to find
out of all my friends, I don't know a demon Lucy.
Maybe they're just trying to say it's like the flip of Saint Lucia.
So, she's one of those like really old school like virgin martyr saints, like where it was like a suitor accused her of being a Christian and killed her kind of thing, or wanted her to like, you know, like worship a different idol and she didn't. That kind of stuff, okay. You know. And her feast day is the 13th of December usually. In medieval, I think it was more likely solstice, and it's kind of moved, and a whole bunch of different religions of Christian variety like worship her, or not necessarily worship her, but like, you know, speak of her. And she's known in more than just like Catholicism. She's not just a Catholic saint, because it was basically like, you know, it's one of those like you put God before everything, and you know.
Got it. Right. It's like, here's the example of a not perfect follower, but like, you know,
yeah, she's a martyr.
Yeah.
But more importantly, Lucia Lux Light. Okay. Saint Lucia is in Dante's Divine Comedy.
Oh, really?
Yes. And she's in the Inferno as a messenger to Beatrice, sent to rouse her to send Virgil to Dante's aid. So basically, she's just like sent to tell someone else to tell Virgil to go help Dante, right?
Right.
And then
Game of telephone.
In Purgatorio, so that's an Inferno because there's 3 parts of the Divine Comedy.
Right.
In Purgatorio, Lucy takes a sleeping Dante to the entrance of Purgatory, and so in every aspect, every scene where Saint Lucy or Saint Lucia is, she is taking Dante out of the dark and into light.
Oh, okay.
Uh-huh.
Ah, so kind of like Diana here.
Uh-huh.
I was also wondering, you know, I don't know if maybe that's what Diana's crown is or something there too. Because it's very pointed, like when Diana comes back with the crown. I'm like, why does she have a crown?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That'd be my guess.
I would think it would tie to it. Her imagery and stuff is more about like, there's versions, she's also tied to light and seeing, but like there's versions where when they killed her, like they plucked out her eyes first. And so she's like,
Jesus.
Yeah, you know, there's like some sort of like ties with her, like they'll be like, oh, she's the saint of ophthalmologists, you know what I mean? But then it's also like, you know how saints have like everything right. But the kitchen sink under them. It's like in virgins, and then also like, you know, I don't know,
light bulbs.
Yeah, it's like it's not, it's like things that aren't even related. Like, but she's like part of the virgin martyr kind of category, if you will. She, let's see here if there's others. there's lots of like I think also like tying her into like the dark, like the bearer of light in the darkness of winter, and like solstice is like when things start to get brighter again, you know.
Right.
She's the patroness of Syracuse and Sicily, Italy. Like there's lots of I mean there's like a Caribbean island, Saint Lucia.
Okay.
They always really play though with like the martyr aspect too. But I was gonna look and see if I could find the list of like all the different things she's saint of, because I was like, Jesus Christ. Oh, the blind, martyrs, epidemic, salesmen, throat infections, riders, and then like a bunch of like countries and stuff like that.
Salesmen.
And you're just like, how did we get here?
That's really funny.
I don't know. I didn't look into it past that, but I did think like, oh, that's good information to have.
Oh, that's hilarious.
But yeah, so we get a little bit of that to play with too with her, which I think that's definitely like her bringing the light, and like it might even be alluding more towards like the Lucia of Dante's Inferno than like the religious. But like, where did that comparison come from? You know, you have to trace it all the way back.
Right.
I also think it's interesting that Diana was in limbo because she believed like no one would love her baby.
So, okay, I do have a question about Diana in this episode.
So was she choosing to be in limbo?
Well, I was wondering, is that Diana?
In purgatory or in limbo?
You know, no, is that Diana that appears there? Or is it like Lilith or Madam Satan? Because I don't know if we ever come back around on it, and it could just be Diana. But I was like, because it seems to reinforce everything that Lilith would want Sabrina to think. Of like, oh, well, I mean, I followed your father down as far as I could go, but I would never do that to anybody else. Like almost like I kind of regret it. And also when she seems to have knowledge of how to use magic, because she tells Sabrina how to do like the spell on the teddy bear.
That's a good catch.
So
that's a good catch.
That's my thought. Because then it's also, it's like all about like Sabrina, and because you could kind of see that of like, I was worried about my child, what would happen to my child. And so that's like my unfinished business. But yeah, other things that have me suspicious.
That is interesting.
And she seems so much more composed when she comes there than when we saw her in Limbo last.
Well, because I think in Limbo, she didn't believe it was Sabrina, because like Sabrina wasn't supposed to be in Limbo.
Oh, that's true.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and Limbo seems like a terrible place.
Yeah. But that's a good point. I don't know.
It was kind of like what I was thinking when you were like, is this actual Limbo that we're seeing here? Or is it, you know?
Also, Wardwell eats gingerbread Sabrina, which makes me laugh.
Yeah, I love the whole gingerbread house setup that she has. It's very intricate.
Funny. Yeah, it's so good. I also, like, now that we just teleport people everywhere, Amber, like, I teleported Roz home, and I'm like, could we have been doing this the whole time?
Right. What are you doing walking around?
Who's Desmelda?
Desmelda is the
lady
witch
in the woods?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Lilith takes him to.
Okay. That's what I thought, but I was like, that's where Letitia's going.
Which is, God, I lost it. A little tired. What was I trying to say?
Desmelda.
Yeah, Letitia and Zelda. Essentially, it's like, but like staying with the Spellmans is probably the best thing for Letitia, because like outside there, you know, like Zelda is a really good caretaker. And I think because Zelda worries, that's what gives her up. But like, I think like if she was able to like live there and be with them, like that'd be a really great like home and place for Letitia to grow up.
Well, I mean, it worked out well for Sabrina.
Yeah.
It's true. It's true. I think though Zelda recognizes that having Sabrina in the house is too high risk to have a baby there.
Well, that's
kind of how that plays out, because she thinks Sabrina took out the Yule log. I think that Ambrose, we don't get a lot of the scene of him at the party.
No, and we'll be coming back around to what that room is
that
in
location.
future episodes.
Yeah. I was excited. I was like, oh, we're going to finally get this location. And then I was like, oh, not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet.
And not so like...
It's not like that exciting. It's just kind of fun.
Yeah, it's like a lounge and bar, but there's like some fun things around it.
Was there anything that really stood out to you in this episode that you wanted to talk about?
I mean, other than the Susie doll thing, I think it's just a fun episode. Like it's a fun God, my brain is running out of juice.
Kind of like a reset too from like what happened at the end of the last episode. It's like it brings us back to, okay, like we're not gonna have Sabrina not talk to her friends, and here's how she can still be involved in her friend's life, but also her relationship with Harvey is no longer.
Yeah, it's just a fun kind of like single story wrapped up in an episode. I love it.
You do love like a little plot based episode, if that makes sense, or like a chapter that's like a plot. Like Brenton likes like a concrete little story in a story.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
that's not like a bad thing. It's just, like,
oh yeah,
I know that's something you prefer.
Oh yeah, yeah. And as long as it's told well, you know.
Yes.
But cool. And the other thing of just also Zelda softening, is like if you had told us, like we would have helped you.
She's like, honestly, Sabrina, it's like you don't even know the meaning of family.
It's true,
and it's so funny.
She doesn't. Oh, it's good.
It's very good.
Yeah. I have nothing else. I think I'm ready to wrap up if you are.
All right. Well,
you can find us on all your audio podcast platforms of choice at Dead Ends. You can also find us on YouTube and see us in our office at dead_ends. Please like, subscribe. It helps us, and we love getting more people listening, so please tell your friends. And also for audio podcast platforms, please rate us 5 stars. That also helps discoverability. You can also follow us on Blue Sky at dead-ends at Bisky. And then you can also leave a comment on our YouTube videos, like talking to people there. Or you can send us an email if you have questions or comments or things you want us to talk about on the podcast at deadendspcast@gmail.com. Because I don't know if other like platforms allow you to leave like comments, but like we don't check those. We just check like the YouTube and then if anything comes in email. So those are the avenues to get in touch.
Well, not today, Satan.
Not today. And
we'll be back to Riverdale soon.
Exactly. Yeah.
Next week.
Well, in 2 weeks, we'll be back to Rizzerdale.
It's Rizzerdale. He's really with the time. It's Rizzerdale now.
They have that little kid now.
No, so we'll be back to the first 2 episodes of season 3.
That's right.
Okay.
We'll see what happens with Archie getting arrested.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Archie got arrested.
We're
coming back.
Who knows what'll happen?
All right.
Yeah. So we'll come back for season 3 and we'll do all of Riverdale again, and then we'll take a pause again, and we'll come back to Sabrina for part 2 after that. But at least the first 2 episodes.
All right. First 2 episodes of Riverdale. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Watch the first 2 episodes of Riverdale. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yes. Of season 3.
Yeah. Just watch the first 2. Pick 2. You know what?
First 2, pretty good.
All right. Okay.
Love you.
Love you. Bye.